Hi, this is Jeffrey Kurt Financial Group. Today's Monday, June 15, 2026. So let's take a look at last week and then how that bleeds into this week. Last week we had some pretty unfriendly inflation numbers in the beginning of the week, but then the rumors of a ceasefire peace agreement and plus the successful SpaceX IPO did power stocks higher at the end of the week, and it was a positive week. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ were all up about 70 basis points. The Russell led the way, it was up 3.9, almost 4% for the week. And we'll give you the table here to look at the year-to-date numbers as well as last week's numbers. Again, the big news was that, rumors of a ceasefire getting done, everybody kind of agreeing, really put a bid into the markets. And then the successful SpaceX IPO, pulling that off, was very helpful. Looking at the ceasefire, I'll put up here a table of the things that I saw as the major points and items of the ceasefire real quick. Extensive ceasefire begins between U.S. and Iran for 60 days, 60-day negotiation for technical discussions around the nuclear, removes the blockade, opens the strait. We'll discuss U.S. will discuss sanctions relief with Iran, possible releasing of Iranian funds, stuff like that. You see the thing. So a lot of details need to be worked out. And I think this week will be two big items influencing the capital markets. One is whether the ceasefire holds and whether there's any risk to it or not. Again, there seems to be an agreement and a willingness to kind of get this thing done, but who knows? It's just a lot of players and you don't know whose intentions lie where. The other big thing is that the Fed Open Market Committee, the FOMC, has their meeting tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, and the press conference on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. This is Kevin Warsh's first as a chairman of the Fed, and then also to complicate things, Jerome Powell remained on as one of the regional bank board members, so it could be an interesting dynamics. Nothing expected from the Fed this Wednesday, but it's interesting, I think, now that crude oil's come off. How does the Fed look at that? Is it just okay, inflation is going to come back down from last week's numbers, which were May numbers, and how does that all play into monetary policy, and what do they say about that, and what's their judgment of how that goes looking forward? So a lot going on. And also, as a reminder, if you didn't know, markets are closed on Friday, so we're only doing 4 days. I was only going to do a video on Thursday, no Wednesday. We'll do Thursday before the long weekend. Unless something else comes up, we'll only do it on Thursday. So thank you for listening. Appreciate your attention, and let us know any comments, questions, suggestions, and please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you again. Goodbye.